Okay, great. Thank you. I'm calling this session of the Board of Revision to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Ojibwe, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. With me today are Ian Mann and Richard Whitbread. My name is Harvey Diamond. I'll be chairing this board. And the assessment department is represented by Alyssa Adarkanova, and the administrator of this hearing is Zachary Moen. To the Zoom participants of this hearing, please note that you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it's your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. And once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rolls in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for revision are requests that have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony. Anyone speaking to the matters must first be sworn in. Be advised, the comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decision based on the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that would be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. And please note that the Board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or to classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to an application for exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on do so will be included with our order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following their swearing in. We will then have the assessment testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by any questions. And each side will be given an opportunity to summarize if they wish to do so. Once all the evidence upon an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You receive the board's decision by written mail as soon as possible. And as information, all public hearings are live stream recorded and will form part of a public record. And today we'll be hearing items 2-7 on the docket. And Mr. Moen, you can please affirm the assessor and the applicant for item 2's testimony at this time.
Of course, Mr. Chair. Madam Assessor, please state your full name.
Alyssa Adarkanova.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please stand. Please state your full name.
Tony Texera.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, so the first item that we'll be dealing with today is the item 2 on the agenda, 444 Bannatyne Avenue, and this is Ms. Adarkanova. You can proceed when you're ready with your evidence.
File number is 24-1351. Applicant is JMT Holdings Inc. The address is 444 Bannatyne Avenue. The owner, again, JMT Holding Incorporated. Roll year 2025, reference date April 1st, 2023. Assessed value is $52,000. Classification other property liability taxable. This is BRS2, vacant residential high density land. The zoning is RMU. We have a land area of 1,626 square feet. Going to page 2, there is a subject sale in 2009.
Oh, sorry, Madam Assessor, can you please read the roll number? I may have missed it, but.
Sorry. Roll number is 13061212000. And then page 2, land influence is commercial adjacent and medium traffic affecting the subject. It is in the West Alexander neighborhood. And the rate per square foot is $31.98. Going to page 3, we have our table of comparables for the subject. So comparable 1 is the subject. Sorry, hang on a second. Comparable 1 is 89 Gertie Street, within the same neighborhood as the subject, West Alexander. It has a land area of 3,393 square feet. Same zoning, RMU as subject. Land influence of commercial adjacent, similar to subject. Sale date is December 1st, 2022, and the sale price per square foot is $22.92 per square foot. Comparable 2 is 94 Francis Street in the same neighborhood as the subject, West Alexander. Land area of 5,107 square feet, same zoning as subject, RMU. Similar land influence of commercial adjacent as subject. Sale date is October 21st, 2021, and the sale price per square foot is $29.57. Comparable 3 is 0 Beacon Street in the West Alexander neighborhood, same as subject. It has 2,512 square feet land area, has a zoning of RMFS and a land influence of commercial adjacent. The sale date for this one is March 26, 2021, and the sale price per square foot is $26.87. Comparable 4 is 578 Agnes Street in the Daniel McIntyre neighborhood. It is 5,223 square feet in land area. It has a zoning of R2 and it is commercial adjacent. It has a sale date of January 8th, 2021, and the sale price per square foot is $32.55. Comparable 5 is 690 Langside Street. It's in the Spence neighborhood. It has a land area of 3,577 square feet, a zoning of R2, and it is affected by a bus route, a commercial influence, heavy traffic, an external corner. Has a sale date of July 5th, 2018, and the sale price per square foot is $34.95. So what I'd like to bring to your guys' attention would be that the subject zoning is RMU, and that for the first 2 comparables, we see RMU zoning, and then in comparables 3, 4, and 5, we see zoning of RMFS R2. And it seems that for this type of zoning, that the development that's able to be built here is less dense than that of the RMU zoning. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, if you have any questions of the assessor, you can ask them now. Not your argument, which you'll have an opportunity of doing.
I understand.
Okay, you just ask questions.
If you can just, I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more on comparable 189 Gertie Street. You come up with a per square foot value for the land of how much?
The sale price per square foot is $22.92.
$22.92 for the land. Okay. Now, is that bare land?
That is vacant land, yes.
Do you have any other questions?
And is 89 Gertie also zoned RMU?
It has the same zoning as subject, and comparable to, which sold for $29.57 per square foot, also has the same zoning as subject.
Okay. Yeah, that's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mann, do you have any questions?
Just one with or just questions with respect to the size of 444 Bannatyne at 1,600 square feet and 1,626 square feet. This would be the smallest amongst all of the land sale comparables. That's correct?
That's correct.
Okay. This lot, I'm assuming it's fairly square at 40 feet by 40 feet, or is there a different orientation for it?
That, I think it would be a rectangle or a square. There's nothing irregular about the shape here.
Okay. Does the small size impact the price per square foot or the cost per square foot?
In terms of economies of scale, usually the smaller lots have a higher value than that of larger lots, but something that all the comparable lands have in common with the subject is that they would all need a variance for approval to get the development going, because the RMU minimum lot area is 9,000 square feet.
Right.
So they all have that in common, that they're smaller than 9,000 square feet.
Okay, thank you. And my last question, as far as location goes, West Alexander, what is the north-south cross street that's closest to this? Or do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything further.
So it's zoned for high density residential use, which would mean like you could build an apartment block on that zoning, could you not?
You could build an apartment block with commercial for the RMU.
Yeah, the question though is if it's such a small piece of property, only 40 by 40, basically, that would restrict what you could build on it with, isn't it?
At this point in time, yes, but it has potential to be potentially sold and merged with neighboring lots, or like I was saying, all of the comparables, they're smaller than 9,000. So any one of them would need to get some sort of variance approval.
Okay, do you know if the adjacent properties are improved or vacant?
Can take a look. Looking on the map, it seems that there is a neighboring 448 Bannatyne that appears to be vacant and also held by the JMT Holdings Incorporated.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions. So we can then go on with the applicant's evidence. You can present it when you're ready.
I'd emailed the only real evidence that I have would be at the beginning of 2024. There was a sale at one of the properties there, which fronted Gertie, which was sold at a price of $23.43 a square foot for. And I'll point to what was said earlier that Gertie was also sold at $22.92 a square foot, or at 89 Gertie, and given those two, that's what I would say happens to be, in my opinion, should be reflected of the value, because those are right there beside each other, and I don't. In terms of economies of scale, yeah, sure, that property at 1,600 square feet, and even the one next at the end of the day, though, we still have to go for variances. It sure may have the potential into the future, but there's still costs to be spent on that, and there's no guarantees. They are very small. They don't have very much depth to the property. So you're very, very limited on what kind of density and development you can do there, like very limited. So it's, you know, that's always been vacant for the longest time. And what has been utilized basically now is just for parking vehicles from the adjacent houses there. So really hasn't been really utilized for anything. It's sitting vacant.
Okay. Anything else you wish to add before I open up for questions?
No, that's all.
Okay, Ms. Darkanova, you can ask any questions you have right now.
So the property that you used as a comparable in 2024, is that not post-reference information?
Pardon me, sorry?
The property that you were saying sold in the same block in 2024, is that not post-reference information for the market value of April 1st, 2023?
Oh, I see. Okay, you're sure. I mean, yeah. I guess if you're not looking at that, but that was at the very beginning of the year, so it kind of give you an idea anyway. But regardless, and then I point to 8930 being at 2292, which is a direct comparable. So 2292, it's even less per square foot. And
That's all
at
my
least that
questions.
property's got a little bit more size to it, so.
That's all my questions. I don't know if you guys heard that.
Thank you. Ms. Ripper, any questions?
That was my question. Post-reference sale is not to be considered.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Mann, any questions?
Just with respect to the geographical location in relation to Gertie, is 444 Bannatyne right near the cross street of Gertie?
And no, it's mid block.
Okay, and Gertie's the next street that would be south.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gertie would be east and Harriet would be west.
Oh, I see. Yes. Okay. Thank you. I don't have anything further.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions either, so thank you. And we'll then go on to our next item, which is item number 3, which is the property at 448 Bannatyne. And Ms. Darkanova, when you're ready, you can proceed.
Okay, so the file number is 24-1350, applicant and owner JMT Holdings Incorporated. Roll number is 13061213000. It is vacant residential high density for property type with the zoning of RMU and a land area of 3,334 square feet. Going to page 2. There's a 2009 sale, and we can see that the land influences affecting the subject are commercial adjacent and medium traffic influence. The net rate per square foot is $31.79. And going to page 3, we have our comparable table. So we have comparable 1, which is, I believe that this comparable table is the same as the previous one that I just presented. So I would ask that would get carried forward.
That's fine.
Okay. And this subject property is adjacent to the previous one that we saw on the docket, just to paint a picture.
Okay.
I think that concludes my presentation. I would like to say, though, that I think I looked at the applicant's evidence and it is post-reference information again. That's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, if you have any questions of the assessment, assessor, you can ask them now.
Questions? No.
Thank you. Mr. Mann, any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitmer, any questions?
I have none, thank you.
And I don't either. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Applicant, you can go forward with your evidence at this point.
Well, really, since it's post-reference, the only thing I can say is, again, I'll just point to the same reasoning. To assess this, to assess the land at potential, there's no guarantees on the development of these properties. They're very limited on their depth. In terms of value per square foot, there's a very good one to point to is the one right on Gertie, which is what exists within that same block, which again was at $22 and change. So that's, other than that, I really don't have any evidence. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Arcanova, do you have any
No
questions?
questions, thanks.
Mr. Mann, any questions?
No, I don't, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whipper, any questions?
I have none, thanks.
And I don't either, so thank you very much. And so then we can go on then to item number 4, which is the property at 456 Bannatyne Avenue. And Ms. Darkanova, you proceed when you're ready.
So file number is 24-1371. And the applicant and owner is JMT Holdings Incorporated. The roll number is 13099071245. Roll year is 2025 with the reference date of April 1st, 2023. The assessed value is $338,000. Classification is residential 2 and liability is taxable. The property type is vacant residential high density. Zoning of RMU. Land area 13,235 square feet. Continuing to page 2, we can see that there's land influence of external corner and medium traffic, and that the net rate per square foot for the land is $25.54. Going to page 3, we have our land sales comparables. So we have comparable 1, 488 Sherbrooke Street in the Daniel McIntyre neighborhood at 7,820 square feet, zoned RMFM, affected by a bus route and heavy traffic, with a sale date of November 3rd, 2022. Sale price per square foot is $29.40. Comparable 2 is 956 Notre Dame Avenue in the Daniel McIntyre neighborhood. Land area of 7,529 square feet. The zoning here is RMFL. Land influence is again bus route, heavy traffic. The sale date is June 3rd, 2022, and the sale price per square foot is $49.81. Comparable 3 is 55 Harriet Street in the West Alexander neighborhood, same as subject. The land area is 22,016 square feet, and the zoning is R2, land influence commercial adjacent. The sale date is August 9th, 2021. Sale price per square foot is $24.98. Comparable 4 is 94 Francis Street in the West Alexander neighborhood. It is a land area of 5,107 square feet with a zoning same as subject, RMU. It sold in October 21st, 2021 at $29.57 per square feet. Comparable 5 is 0 Isabel Street in the same neighborhood, West Alexander, as subject property. It has a land area of 9,924 square feet, zoned R2, influenced by a bus route, bus stop, commercial adjacent, medium traffic, external corner, has a sale date for March 6, 2020, and a sale price per square foot at $23.68. And again, something to point out is that comparable 3 and 5, similar to subject property, are over that 9,000 square feet threshold mark. So they would be readily developable. And that the sales here are 2020 and 2021, so they would probably require a time adjustment to bring it to April 1st, 2023. So I don't think that the subject being assessed at a rate of $25.54 per square foot is unreasonable at all in this instance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Canova. Mr. Applicant, do you have any questions?
Yeah, on comp 1 and 2, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the per square foot price and the size of the properties.
So for comparable 1 at 488 Sherbrooke, the land area is 7,820 square feet, and the sale price is $29.40. Do you need the sale date for this one?
No, that's fine.
And then for comparable 2, we have 956 Notre Dame Avenue, and the land area is 7,529 per square feet, with a sale price of $49.81 per square foot.
Okay, no questions at the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
No, I have none, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Mann, any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And I don't have any questions either. So, Mr. Applicant, you can proceed.
Yeah, so second here. Just really quickly, what is the total square footage for this one, sorry? For my current one?
The one you're dealing with right now is
13.
gotta go back here.
13,235.
13.
13,235 square feet.
You don't happen to have, I apologize, that doesn't sound right, because you don't happen to have the measurements for that, do you? Like the width and the length of it? Because I always thought that it was 99 by 132.
Are you talking to the assessor?
Yes, I apologize.
What were you saying you thought it was?
Yeah, the width and the length of the property?
Okay. Just let me see if I can get you a rough estimated answer quickly.
Yep.
If it is 99 by 32, it comes to, according to my calculator, 13,068 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a surveyor certificate that verifies that?
Unfortunately not.
My tool that's meant to be measuring isn't quite working at the moment. So for the length of the property, it seems to be rough estimate 134.5 feet, and the width of it as a rough estimate seems to be some 98.4 feet.
98.4?
Yeah, that's just all rough calculations.
Yeah, so that would be
using the map.
fine with that 99 by 132. And I know this because we're currently building on the site, so I know the size of the property very well. So I think the square footage is overstated on it for sure.
Oh, is that true?
When I do those calculations, it comes out to 13,235.
Yes, it does. 13,234.8.
Yeah, round it up.
Yeah.
At what measurement, sorry?
The measurements that, I didn't write it down, I just put it on my calculator, but the measurements that the assessor indicated.
I wrote down 134.5 by 98.4.
Okay, 130, okay. Well, must say, yeah, that must be off then. Okay, so just continuing on, yeah, so I guess one comment that I do have, again, so is this is being, so assessed at 13. Sorry. Okay, so again, I would, there was reference made that, the prices back for 221, that, there would be a price adjustment, I would argue that the prices in 2021 were peaked and they were all-time high and they've come down since then.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, are we not asking questions as opposed to giving evidence?
Oh, I thought I was asked to give.
Sorry,
No, you're
Okay,
supposed to
sorry,
be asking questions.
you are asking questions right now.
Okay, no, then I have no further questions, sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Any questions, Mr. Whitbread, while we have you here?
No, I'm fine with what I see here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mann, any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I don't have any either, so Mr. Applicant, you can proceed with your, I thought you were proceeding with your evidence, actually. I'm sure
Yeah,
you
I
were.
thought so. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, that's okay. I'm good. Okay, so yeah, no, basically, I guess it was reference made that, back to 2021. You know, I would forward that, since that for the reference here is 2022 and 2023, that prices actually came down after that because I think the real estate market in 2021 was an all-time peak. So that would be one point. Second point would be economics of scale, like comparable 5, for example, at 2368 is a decent comparable, and it's a little bit smaller, but regardless, you know, we're sitting at $23.68 a square foot. So you know, and there was also comp 3 on Harriet was also a smaller property. So you know, this is at 13,000. If we apply that same argument for these are all buildable, right? We apply the same argument for economics of scale of this being at 13,000 and almost 300 square feet, then I don't think they should be any more than what the comparable 5 or 3 were. So that's my only argument.
Okay, any questions, Ms. Zarkanova?
Let me just see here. So you were saying how for my comparable 3 at 22,000 square feet roughly, that you think the subject being of 13,235 square feet with economies of scale should be worth less? Is that what you just said?
No, what I'm saying is if you take comparable 3, which is bigger, but you also take comparable 5 at 2368 a square foot, and you kind of average them, it is also smaller, that one. So, and they're both in the same price range. So I mean, we're not, you know, I think I think we're not too far off. I just think it's, you know, from where we were sitting, it's quite a jump. So it's just a quite big percentage jump. One way or the other, this will be assessed at something completely different very shortly, because there are two buildings that are coming close to completion there. So at the end of the day, it is what it is.
No further questions, thanks.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you. Mr. Mann, any questions?
No, thank you. I think I have the gist of the argument.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
Well, it's not clear to me what the applicant would like to see as a value and a square foot value. Could you repeat those if you have said them?
Yeah,
Value you would like.
yeah, in the email, I guess that I had sent, I had used that one on Gertie again that was past the reference point, so I can't really use that argument. So just referring back at 2554, and I apologize. So second here. Yeah. Initially, when we had left, I mean, there was a couple that were of confusion. So, really, I don't think it's completely unfair that what's been assessed. So at the end of the day, I'm okay with the amount.
So 338 is acceptable to you?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so just make it clear that are you asking us to confirm the assessment then?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Mann?
No, thank you.
Okay, and I don't either. Thank you. Okay, I think that completes all your matters today. So you're free to leave if you wish to do so now, and you'll receive our decisions very, very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moen, are we ready to go on with the rest of the applications that I think Mr. Navarro is on?
Yep, Mr. Navarro is right beside me. I can affirm that if that's what you're asking.
Okay, okay, so it's only 3:40, so I think or 1:40, I mean, so I think we could go on with the next one then, which should be item number 5 as soon as Mr. Navarro is sworn in.
Okay, yep, of course. Settle in for a second.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Marcelo Navarro.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, so we're now on item number 5, which is the roll number 03092996 505. And when you're ready, Miss, you go ahead when you're ready.
Sure thing. File number 24-1953, applicant is Altus Group Limited. Roll number 03092996 owner Latco Company Limited. The roll year is 2025 with a reference date of April 1st, 2023. Assessed value today, $4,535,000. The classification is residential 2, liability taxable. This is vacant residential high density. And the zoning is RMFM. The land area is 233,954 square feet. Going to page 2. We don't have any land influences affecting this site. And the net rate per square foot is $19.38. Continuing to page 3, we have comparable one, which is 65 de Iberna Boulevard at Sage Creek neighborhood. This has a land area of 162,612 square feet. Same zoning as subject, RMFM. This one has land influences of light traffic, hydro lines, and park. This is the most recent sale that I have today on this sheet of comparables, February 1st, 2023. And the sale price per square foot is $19.76. And again, I would point out the Sage Creek neighborhood in comparison to that of our subject is different. So I think there should be, I guess, consideration for the fact that it is not in the Prairie Point neighborhood. And then again, comparable to is in our Prairie Point subject neighborhood. It has a land area of 156,881 square feet. Same zoning as subject RMFM. This one is affected with no sewer, no water for land influence. It has a sale date of October 19th, 2021, and the sale price per square foot here is $17.34. So in order to bring it to April 1st, 2023, it would probably need to be time adjusted from the $17.34. Comparable 3 is 186 Appleford Gate in the Bridgewater neighborhood. The land area is 290,902 square feet, and it has same zoning as subject RMFM, affected by medium traffic and an external corner. It has a February 11, 2020 sale at $19.58 per square foot. Comparable 4 is 761 Sterling Lyon Parkway in the Tuxedo Industrial neighborhood. It has a land area of 2,374 square feet. This one has a zoning of RMU and a more dated sale of December 7th, 2016, as well as heavy traffic. The sale price per square foot for this one is $19.53. Comparable 5 is 355 Bridge Lake Drive in the Bridgewater Trails neighborhood. It has a land area at 193,210 square feet. Same zoning as subject RMFM, affected by heavy traffic, external corner. And the sale date here is again dated September 21st, 2016. It would most definitely require a time adjustment. The sale price per square foot is $17.08. And just to bring it back to page 2 again, we don't have any land influence affecting our subject here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, any questions?
I do. Can you confirm whether the property has water frontage and sewer frontage?
It is water and sewer service, yes.
Okay. Can you explain why the city of Winnipeg's assessment site actually doesn't indicate that?
That is not in my evidence. If it's in yours, that would be something else.
Okay. And for the properties that are in the Waverly West area, so that would include the all of the subdivisions that you've included in your comparables here. Where is Appleford Gate?
It's in the Bridgewater Trails neighborhood.
Okay. Would you agree then that that is actually closer to the town center than the subject is?
Don't have that information in front of me, but just we can go with that. I don't know.
Are you aware of how the Waverly West neighborhood is laid out?
I am not too familiar.
Okay. Then I will not ask you any further questions on that. In terms of Sterling Lyon Parkway, you are aware that this is the entire area of the Seasons outlet mall and all of that adjacent commercial activity correct? Would you agree that that's in there?
Yeah,
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitburn, any questions?
I have nothing, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Mann, any questions?
Just to confirm, please, Ms. Darkinov, this property, the subject property that we're discussing is serviced. There is sewer and water, at least close to it.
yeah, up to my knowledge, it's accessible from the Ken Oblique Drive road.
Okay. And are you aware of any development agreements that may be in existence with respect to this property and the city?
No.
Okay. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. I'm looking at your comparable number 2, which is in the Ferry Point neighborhood that this property is in. And I see that it sold October of 2021. How would you time adjust to 2023? How much would?
I think it would definitely increase from the 17. I don't have a figure in front of me.
Okay. Would the land influence, no sewer water on comparable number 2, have any downward influence?
It does, and I think that's reflected in the sale price in October 2021.
And you would not be able to, I suppose, tell us how much of a discount it would have received because of the absence of sewer and water.
Not today, no.
Okay, that's my question. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Navarro, you can proceed with your evidence.
Okay, this is roll 0309-299-6505, and this is in the Waverly West area, but on the south part of it. Basically, as you're getting close to the perimeter highway, and you know that would be at this point, since the development hasn't hit that area, you would have a clear view of the Brady landfill from that standpoint. In terms of the subject, you can see the general location of it on page 6. And again, you can see the general proximity. This is at the very southern part of the area. And many of these areas, while they do show some roads in there, not all of these have been actually built. What they're showing is the overlays, not the actual roads into the subdivisions that are going to be built in these areas. And that's where I have to make a distinction, okay? Because this is not a single site. And it shares location with the next property, which is its sister property just to the north of it, I believe. So this is actually part of a subdivision. And that's where we can say that services are not in place. Roads are not in there. The lighting is not in there. The electrical that will go into this subdivision is not in there. The sewer and water that will go into this subdivision are not in there. But Ms. Darkinova is correct that there is some servicing that will lead to these areas. So that is true. But the actual services that are going to go into this subdivision, no, those are not in place. So we can go through to the sale comparables on page 11. And so we have a list of comparables from different parts of the city. These are for newer lands. I apologize if these look kind of hazy. It's sometimes you have some issues putting a picture into a Word document. But from these, we've got a value of 2001 as an average and 1958 as a median. For the most part, these land comparables are within the realm of the subject. They are over 100,000 square feet, all of them. So we're not talking about any extremely large ones. The largest one is the top one, which comes from the Bridgewater Trails area. And that one is further north. And that is what I tried to say in terms of the town center. So the way that Waverly West is laid out is that you drive into it from Kenniston. And there, once you start going south, you see the town center model. So it's basically built up. You almost have like a center area that is part of a town. And that is where most of the commercial activity is actually happening. And then you have the residential to either side of it on the east and west side of that. Those areas were built up much earlier, more than 5 years ago, more than 6 years ago for the most part. So any developments that would have gone into that area, most of the services would have been in at that time. And that's where we kind of make a distinction simply based on the location, the proximity to the perimeter highway and the lack of services in our area of the subject. We think there's a difference, and there should be some slight adjustment in terms of the overall rate per square foot that we apply to it. Simply said, the development in general hasn't reached this area, so that's why. So we are looking at from the comparisons on page 13, you can see that we believe a price per square foot of $18 is appropriate for the subject. We have also adjusted for lack of services at a cost of $166,000 per acre. What that means is it translates to $1,547 per acre. So for 235,000 square feet and change, we are looking at a value of about $3,639,000 rounded. Now, where we take that figure from is from our costing information. So we have a chart laid out on page 15, and we look at what site servicing cost, and that is essentially where we're getting this information from. So there are, costs associated with site servicing, some for arterial roads. I left the roads out of it simply. What I accounted for was basic servicing, so that would be sewer and water. And I took from the commercial rate because they give us that on a per acre level. And since this is a subdivision, the per acre cost of putting in those services would be very similar. There's a range there from 166 to, I believe, for Winnipeg, to about 312,000. So we went to the lower side of that scale and deducted it. From page 16 and 17, you can see the general location of the comparisons and an overhead picture. And if you turn to page 24, which is the last page of the document, you can see the printout of the subject role information. So you can see that it is 5.4 acres. The 2025 assessment is 4,535,000. And you can see clearly that there is no water frontage and no sewer frontage. And I'm open for questions.
Dr. Nova, any questions?
Yeah, so going to your page 6, where you have the aerial on the top, would you agree that today, within the North Water Bay and kind of the lower end of the Ken Oblique Drive, that it is more developed than what's seen in this aerial shot?
Well, I would say that most of Google Earth photos at this point had been updated recently. So, and to be honest, I drive down this route all the time, and I would say that there's not much development going on at this point here.
Okay, interesting. And next question. So just to understand, when you were saying that it is not water and sewer service, you're implying in terms of for future development? So not the parcel that it is today, but assuming that there's going to be subdivisions within that? Is that correct?
No, it would be for the subdivision itself, so there will be a subdivision in this location. While this one doesn't show it, the other one actually will, the sister property just to the north, but
Okay. Would you agree that today, based on the current market value, that it is water and sewer service, considering that it has not been subdivided and had it been sold on the market April 1st, 2023, that it would not require accommodations for the subdivision that is not in place for a potential developer?
I think those accommodations would have to be calculated into the price. I only agree with you partially on that statement. I would say that there are the main water lines that hook up to these areas. However, beyond that, any developer or potential purchaser would have to contemplate those expenses. So whether it's going to be a subdivision of houses or a subdivision of condos or several apartment buildings that are built here, those costs will have to be accounted for, and they would be in the pricing of the sale of the property. I'll just make a further note that again, we shouldn't ignore the fact that this property is located much further down on like in terms of Waverly West. This is basically reaching the end of Waverly West. We can't say at this point that the values for this area here would be reflected based on sales of properties that sold much further north in Waverly West, where again, I explained that the town center was already built up in these areas, all services were in. So strategically, placement for those other properties is much better than this one.
And for your comparable 4, which actually does have a slight influence of no sewer, no water, and the sale is November 23rd, 2020 at $19.06 per square foot, same zoning as subject property. Is this not an indication that today's assessment at $19.38 for something that does have a sewer main and a water main line on Ken Oblique Street? Do you not see if there's like a difference here?
Okay. If you turn to page 19,
Okay.
I believe that is the comparison that you're speaking about, correct?
Comparable 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you see all of the other development around it?
Yep.
Okay, so that's where I make, a slight adjustment on the price, because I think we're talking about a slightly different situation where these services have actually been built up in these areas, and you can simply tell by the surrounding development. So say that they are slight.
Okay. And just to, I guess, confirm. So you do acknowledge that the Ken Oblique Drive for the front of this parcel does have the sewer and water service in place, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Those are my questions. No further.
Thank you. Mr. Whipper, any questions?
Just looking at the math, I want to make sure I have this right, Mr. Navarro. So you tell us that the land value would be $18 less, $18 a square foot less the 166,000 per acre it would cost to develop, bringing your value down to 1547 a square foot. Have I got that right?
Yeah,
And that would give us a 3,639,000. So if I then equate that to a per acre cost, it's about 673,873, which is $100,000 to $200,000 less than the comparables provided by the assessor.
yeah, yeah.
And you're okay with that?
I made the adjustment based on the costing of putting in services in those areas, so. What I say about the comparables from the assessor is that. The comparisons that we're looking at in the assessor's comparison, in fact, some of mine also have those features where those things are already there, they're built up, there's no need to actually consider them. If you look at this area, you drive by it, you can see that there's clearly very little development, if any, on that side of Waverly or Kenniston. I'm not sure what the street is at that point. I think it's called Kenniston at that point, once you hit the perimeter. So I would say that there's a slight difference in terms of the development, the timing, the horizon, all of that is different. So in my opinion, based on April 1, 2023, that would have been a consideration for sure.
Yeah, I'll leave
Now,
it. Oh, you have more to say?
The adjustment, yeah, that's debatable. Whether it's 166,000 or 100,000 or 80,000 per acre, that's certainly debatable. I've only offered what I think the information out there has said. So I provided a costing information that we have presented in the past for situations like this. But again, it could be less, it could be more. Our findings are that construction in general has just gone up. Those costs would keep going up as time goes by.
So do you want to make it less or do you want to make it more?
I'll keep it the way it is. I'll keep it the way it is.
Oh, that's an option too. Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Mr. Mann, any questions?
Yes, just for clarification, you have indicated and you've provided your 9 comps, one of which is the same as the one used by the assessor, that being the Sage Creek one, right? Your comp number 7 is the same comp as used by the assessor in her table? The day hibernants, 65-day hibernants?
Yeah. Yes. Comp number 7.
Right. Your comps with their sold price and their price per square foot of actual land area, what are those, the actual sale prices, or have there been reductions for having to put sewer and water services in?
No, that is the actual sale prices.
Okay.
We wouldn't adjust that, the sale price. The sale price is what it is.
Right. But at least 2 of these comps as well, your comp number 6 and your comp number 4, they also have no sewer, no water, correct?
Let's see here in West Kildonan, number 6.
I'm just looking at the site influences.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that that's correct.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have anything further.
Okay, so just for clarity, Mr. Navarro, there is sewer and water not on the site, but adjacent to it, correct?
Correct.
And it's always the developer who brings in the sewer and water when they do the subdivision, is it not?
Excuse me?
Yes?
No, I didn't catch your comment.
I said, and when a developer takes raw land and subdivides it, one of the requirements of the development agreement is to bring in the services that are required to facilitate the subdivision, is that not correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And you clarify, just make sure that all these prices that you've indicated, all the comparables are the bare land not serviced, correct?
They are just bare land. I actually include the influences on the sales,
Yes.
11. So for example, on number 6, Mr. Mann caught that. Yes, that does say no sewer, no water. The remainder, that wasn't an influence, so we assume that those actually are there now.
Well,
Or
yeah.
they're at that.
Yeah, but who put them in?
Who put them in?
Were they there when the properties were sold?
That would be my understanding, because again, we are looking at areas that are slightly different in terms of where they are along the development cycle. So for example, the first one in Bridgewater, it's much further north, and that's what I tried to explain by that town center model. So the further you get north, the further north you go in Waverly West, the more you are likely to run into full servicing. So you're not going to have those issues of bringing in services. Those areas are already going to be built up.
Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you. Okay, we can proceed then with item number 6, which is roll number 0309299651. And when you're ready, Ms. Ardakova, you can proceed.
File number is 24-1956, applicant Altus Group Limited. Roll number 0309299651, owner is Ladco Company Limited. The roll year is 2025 with the reference date of April 1st, 2023. The assessed value is $3,642,000. Classification is residential 2. Liability is taxable. The property type is vacant residential high density. We have RMFM for zoning and a land area of 183,076 square feet. Continuing to page 2 for this one as well, we don't have any land influences affecting the parcel. And we have the net rate per square foot at $19.89. Going to comparable 3 is, sorry, not comparable 3, page 3 is our land sales comparables, which is the same table that we've seen for the previous file. So I would ask that the same comments be carried forward. And since it is the same table, the only thing that I would like to highlight before I conclude my presentation is that, again, this is the adjacent lot to what we've seen previously, and on Ken Oblique Drive, it does have a sewer main and a water main. So it is not affected by the negative influence of no sewer, no water. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. Any questions?
Are these the same comparisons that were used in the previous example?
Yes.
So I have no further comments. I think we can just pass on what we did in the previous one. And this
Thank
one,
you.
the chair
Okay.
would accept that.
Okay, just make sure that Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
I have none, thank you.
Mr. Mann, any questions?
Just a couple quick ones. This amount per square foot, the $19.89, is a modeled amount. Is that correct?
Correct.
And this is the adjacent property with presumably the same comps and the same external influences for this area?
Correct. External influences being there are none.
Right. Yes. So very little to distinguish between this property and the last property, yet this one is valued at 51 cents a square foot more. Any explanation for that?
It would be the difference in lot size, as the first one was 233,954 square feet, and this one is 183,076 square feet. So it would just be an application of economies of scale.
Thank you. I don't have anything further.
Thank you. Mr. Ripper, any questions?
Oh, you asked me.
Did I? Okay, I'm
Yep.
sorry. Okay, and I don't have any either. So thank you, Mr. Navarro. You can proceed.
Okay, so as we've commented, this is the adjacent parcel, so I think we can pretty much pass on everything from the previous example in terms of the sales that we've used. The only difference is that you can see on page 24, the layout of the subdivision. So as I mentioned, this is not going to be, these are not single sites. They're not intended to be single sites. So all of those services have to be built into this subdivision, and those costs, from our opinion, would be built into the price were this property to sell. The next page over again, we've said, you know, the information is coming from the city itself, so we're not changing this information. You can clearly see that there is no water frontage and no sewer frontage. So the value that we are asking for is on page page 2. I can quickly give you the rate per acre if you'd like. So it's 740,476 per acre.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Navarro?
Oh, no, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Darkanova, any questions?
Just the same as last. So
Okay.
in terms of the water and sewer,
So up to the area on Canoe Lake. Yeah,
so there is access there, and currently it could be sold on the market, not seen as this subdivision, because that's not yet what it is, correct?
well, it's zoned RMF, right?
Yeah, but in terms of what you were saying, that there isn't the necessary water and sewer in place. There
Okay,
is access from Ken Oblique Drive, correct, right?
right, but if you were to build a single site on this property, for example, one building, there wouldn't be that much need for additional expenses you could tie into the services. If you were to build a subdivision of smaller condominiums or whatever, you would have to put in those services, and based on what I see in terms of the trajectory of this location, that seems to have been determined as to what it's going to be already. So
On your page 11, do you know if any of your comparable sales had to develop the concept of the water and sewer that you're saying the parcel, the subject property is needing? Do you know if any of these sale prices already reflect that concept?
I can't be certain, but most of these areas have been developed. As you can see, that most of the pictures actually show what's gone in there.
Okay, and just to confirm, comparables 6 and 4 actually do not have a sewer or water main, correct?
Correct.
No further questions, thanks.
Thank you. Any questions you didn't ask last time, Mr. Matt?
No, I think I'm satisfied with the question I asked last time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread.
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions. Thank you. So we can now proceed with item number 7, being the last matter on the docket, which is roll number 0309301240, and Ms. Adar Canova, you can proceed when you're ready.
File number is 24-2455. Applicant is Altus Group Limited. The roll number is 0309301240. The owner is Southeast Lands Corp. Roll year is 2025 with a reference date of April 1st, 2024. The assessed value is $2,213,000. Classification is residential 2 with a liability of taxable. This is vacant residential high density with RMFM zoning and a land area of 101,005 square feet. On page 2, we can see that the subject property here is influenced by an external corner, and it is in the Waverly West B neighborhood, and that the net rate is $21.91 per square foot. Going to the page 3 with comparables. Comparable 1 is 50 Front Trail, which is adjacent to the subject property. Although it is 9 times the size at 928,372 square feet of the subject, it has the same zoning, and it's the most recent comparable sale I have on this docket, selling September 8th, 2022, with a sale price of $16.16 per square foot. Comparable 2 is 2 Ken Oblique Drive in the Prairie Point neighborhood. It has a land area of 156,881 square feet. Same zoning as subject RMFM. A land influence here would be the no sewer, no water. And the sale date is October 19th, 2021, with a sale price of $17.34 per square feet. Comparable 3, we have the Waverly Heights neighborhood, and the land area is 105,445 square feet with the zoning RMFS. So the development here is less dense than subject zoning. It has land influences of bus route, bus stop, medium traffic, external corner, no sewer, no water, and a rail line. So quite a bit of negative influences, some could say, for the rail line, and no sewer, no water. And the sale date is April 12th, 2021, and the sale price per square foot was $27.88 per square feet. Comparable 4 is 745 Ballantrae Drive in the Chevier neighborhood. It has a land area of 100,217 square feet with RMU zoning, so it could be developed at a higher density than an RMFM. And this one has a sale date of June 27th, 2018, and a sale price per square foot at $25.83 per square foot. Comparable 5 is 140 Eaglewood Drive in the Prairie Point neighborhood. It has a land area of 85,887 square feet, same zoning as the subject RMFM, light traffic and a park influence. The sale date here is May 24th, 2017, and the sale price per square foot is $15.14. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Any questions?
Yes. Can you give me a rough idea of where 2 Ken Oblique Drive is?
Just a second. It is on the corner of Waverly and Kenoblik in the Prairie Point neighborhood.
Okay, so it would be in that area of the previous two properties, correct?
Yes, but the date of sale here is 2021.
Okay. What I would ask about this property is that, if you look at comparable 1 and comparable 2, we note that there's a huge difference in terms of the size of these properties. And they slope at slightly different times, but not that far apart. One is 21 acres, the other one is 3.6 acres. Yet there's hardly any difference in terms of the difference in the size per square foot between them. So can you elaborate on why there's such a small, if you know, economies of scale is playing such a large part in this, but it doesn't seem that way in terms of these
I
comparative.
think the indicator here would be that the Waverly West neighborhood, which is that of the subject property, is more desirable, and that's what is reflected here.
Okay, but these are both in Waverly West, are they not?
No, one is in Prairie Point, and then another one is in Waverly West B.
Okay, so Waverly West B is in that more northern part of Waverly, which is more desirable.
Seems to be.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
That is how I interpret it at this point in time.
Okay, so we are clearly saying that properties more to the north in Waverly West are more desirable, correct? That's what I'm hearing.
The subject and where the subject is on the Frontier Trail and Joe Keeper Way is quite the distance away from Waverly and Kenoblik, that corner there.
Okay.
So in terms of the rate that we see for the property we're looking at now at $21.91 per square foot, I don't think that's unreasonable, given that it is supported and it does seem to be more desirable than, I guess, as you mentioned before, something more near the perimeter.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mann, any questions?
Just one, is this piece of property, the 101,005 square feet, is it serviced or is there close access to water and sewer?
It is serviced, and it is serviced on the Joe Keeper Way for water and waste, as well as there's also some service on the Frontier Trail itself.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Ripper, any questions?
I have none, thanks.
Thank you. And I don't have any questions either, so thank you. So Mr. Navarro, please proceed.
Mr. Chair, I would say that given this property is located further north in that Waverly West area, I believe that was, the intention of my questioning. This property is, based on my opinion, probably valued correctly at this point, having taken a second look at this. So I would ask the chair to confirm this assessment if possible.
Okay, we can do that. Okay, and prior to closing the hearing, if either of you wish to make summations on all the matters we heard, I'll let you do so.
So to summarize, for roll number 309-299-6505 and 309-299-6510 on Ken Oblique Drive, they do have access to a sewer and water line, and the larger one the first roll number I read is at $19.38 per square foot, and the second one is at $19.89 per square foot. And as we've seen in the, I guess, current property that we just discussed, that was confirmed at $21.91 square foot because it is in a better location. I would say that the model values presented today are reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro.
I would say that based on the commentary and the questions that I've asked of the assessor, there's a clear indication that there is a difference in terms of the values on properties coming further north in Waverly West versus a few of our subjects that are closer to the perimeter. So I will leave it at that.
Thank you very much. Thank you both for your attendance and your evidence, and we will deliberate and you'll receive our decisions very soon. And thank you very much. Have a good,
Thank
well,
you. Good day, everybody.
I wish you a good weekend, but have a good day. And Halloween.
Thanks. Good day.
Night.
Thank you.